Hello, hello. Welcome everyone to another episode of Relationship Real Talk with Dr. Rob and Dr. Lynn, hosted by my NFT. This is a special episode. We're pre-recording it today for you all. And the idea is we're going to put this out, but then we also want to get some feedback from our audiences. So by the end of this, we would love to hear your comments. If it's more private, feel free to DM us directly. And Dr. Rob, Dr. Lynn will be answering you directly and personally. In today's episode 3, we're going to be talking about why opposites attract, and more so the theme will be around wiring and conflict patterns. So we'll be unpacking that a bit with the insights and advice from Dr. Lynn and Dr. Rob. So with that being said, when you think of opposites attract, why do you think that is? I know it's a common saying and everyone talks about it. And some people say maybe you're looking for that opposite person to fill that balance. But at times, you've talked about this in other episodes, sometimes you could be working against yourself, potentially, if you're looking for the wrong opposite. So I would love to hear just both your opinions on why do you think that happens in relationships? And we'll go from there.
I think that opposites attract due to the fact because you have one person that is very outgoing and the other person is not. That could usually, have where opposites attract as far as that because it's boring to have the same like if both of you are outgoing, somebody's gonna try to over outshine the other, which you shouldn't
Mm.
be. You should be able to just, be together with that. Again, if you got again, are boring people, then it may make it hard, because what are you gonna do with each other? You're just both not outgoing or you're there, and stuff. Reset. Okay.
So yeah, and that's absolutely right. And whenever I take a look at opposites attracting, there's a novelty, right? There's something that I have not experienced before, and that's exciting. You don't look at yourself in the mirror and say, "Hey, I'm exciting." People usually don't, right? But whenever they see something that is not quite them, that's the opposite, it's like, "Oh, I get to experience something that's not me." And sometimes that opposite attracting is super important because when you're calculated about it, it can fill gaps that you need to have filled in for
Mm.
you, right? A great example is me and Dr. Lynn. She is definitely more of an outgoing type. She is definitely more of a social butterfly than I am. And so if it was just me and I married someone like me, then we'd be a couple of closet hermits who never saw the light of day. But
Right.
she can pull me out of my shell and we'll get out and we'll experience life together, and then sometimes we'll just kick back and watch a movie, lock all the doors and close the blinds, you know?
Which is funny that he says that because sometimes and where I pull him out of his shell, sometimes I like to go in the shell and really and truly not be amongst people and not socializing, needing just, the quiet time and stuff like that. Not necessarily for me as far as needing to recharge, because that's more or less how he is set up, but just sometimes just be quiet for a moment.
So it's really important to look at not just that you're opposite, but what areas are you opposite in, right? If I'm the type of person who loves living in snow and ice, and she's the kind of person who absolutely loves living in the tropics, then we might have trouble finding a place that's the right place for both of us. And you could take that geographically or you can take it metaphorically. We have to understand if our opposites are actually compatible.
Mm. Yeah, which was bringing me to the next point is really understanding what kind of advice would you share with others in terms of when is that opposite potentially a positive thing versus potentially, risking, climbing uphill versus steady, you know, like you said, that last comment, if you completely have polar opposite climates that you're looking to live in and there's potentially not a middle ground. How do you prioritize or how would you rate those differences that potentially could lead to struggles down the line in a relationship? Is there any type of advice that you all will share, either through experiences, through some of the counseling you've done?
Yeah, I'd say time, four-letter word,
Yeah.
Mm.
time. So here's the thing. Sometimes opposites will grow on you, and sometimes opposites will get under your skin. and you don't know which one it's going to be without time. Great example, if I may just go off the reservation for just a moment. When I was a kid, my mom made lemon meringue pie as a holiday pie. First time I ever had it. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. And of course, my mom being who she is, if she knows that you like something, she keeps making more and more of it. I think that I was home maybe about 3 weeks. She must have made 4 lemon meringue pies. I'd finish one off, she'd make another. And by the end of that break, I couldn't look at lemon meringue pie ever again. To this day, even the thought of lemon meringue pie just kind of makes me
nauseous.
Yeah, but it's because, in small doses, I might still love lemon meringue pie today, but taking it all at once, it was just too much. I couldn't stomach it. So relationships can be the same way. Someone can be super exciting for you, but you realize I can't take this person in large doses. But if you're not spending the time to get to know the person, see how you interact, seeing how you feel with each other over time, then you might be committing in an area where you weren't meant to commit to.
And funny enough, I had a conversation with somebody yesterday sort of around this topic. We both had gone through a breakup, and next thing you know, we're sort of spilling the beans a little bit, sharing our experiences. And she asked me, "What was the reason behind your breakup?" And I shared that it to me it felt like there was um, a gap in what each person was looking for. To me, early on in the relationship, I felt maybe she was a bit more independent, but then as time grew together, it felt like she became more dependent. And me, I'm the type that I was just enjoying our time together. And we were seeing each other maybe once a week, and both busy at the time. But as time grew, I thought everything was fine, but she felt like she was pouring in more than I was pouring in. So there was a gap in our understandings or our emotional buckets. I apparently was not feeling hers, while I felt she was doing everything right and feeling mine, right? So I would so something like that where I believe I'm more independent of a person. I don't need to, you don't need to be checking in on me. I don't need to, talk all through the day. And I was just, as I shared this with her, I was in love by the fact that I knew we had each other, at the end of the day. When I go to bed at night, I know we have each other. And, obviously communicating at least once a day. Or through at least every day, daily. So that was something where now I sit back and I'm like, well, in that scenario, I would be not maybe looking for the opposite. I'd be looking for someone independent like myself, right? But at the same time, yeah, that was just sharing that story. So I'm curious, when do you feel opposites attract is a good thing, which we kind of just discussed, versus where I'm coming from, and I'm basically doing an improv counseling session with you all right now.
No, of
Of
But
course. Rich, it is so funny you just said that. I literally just went to that thought and you just said it out loud. It's so the opposites, you can still have the opposites attract, but that person also needs to have that one little part that you need as far as both of y'all being independent. Not necessarily having to be the complete same person, but it's just that one little part in it where she's an independent type person, you're an independent type person. Now, understand what I mean by the independent part. So you want to be able to be a couple. So not necessarily saying that you're like completely independent. It's just that one little section of it where like you say, you might say good morning to each other. And because you have a busy day going on, she has a busy day going on at her work. You may next thing y'all may have a chance to say to each other. Maybe you may have a chance to say something to each other during lunch. Maybe not. You might not be able to connect again until it's time for dinner. But y'all both are able to still have that where you're on the same, wavelength, even though she could be an outgoing person. You could be more introverted. But still, it's just that one little nugget as far as the independent part of it. So yeah.
I think that's a great point, because sometimes we look at things as black and white, and I'm a
Mm-hmm.
big fan of, there's always the gray area, right? And the things are not always yes and no.
Yes.
There's, a lot that happens within the gray. And I think, that's a great point. You could have opposite personalities or opposite traits or likenesses, but it doesn't mean that it has to be complete opposite here, and it has to be completely the same here. There could be
Yes.
a mixture, and it sounds like you want to find the things that you're maybe longing for that that person can bring to the table,
Mhm.
and at the same time, but you know that you're not necessarily. It's not something that is going to, you know, take you out of your shell unless you're looking to for someone to do that. Which, I mean, it's another point, because one of the things I shared in this past relationship was that I wanted us to be both comfortable with ourselves, so that the other person, we didn't feel like we needed each other, but we
That
wanted.
part. Yeah.
So,
You're a wise man, sir.
Yeah.
That's wisdom speaking right there.
wow. Well, I'm glad, because at times it was tough, obviously, breaking up with anybody after you've shared time together. But, I did feel bad at times, because obviously I would hate to tell somebody I don't want you to need me, but I want you to want me, right?
Right.
So to maybe take a step further into this, we were talking about emotional bank accounts.
Oh,
So
yeah.
as I was maybe even talking about the bucket being full, half full, empty, could you explain that terminology a bit more for our audience?
Emotional bank account, sure. So if you take a look at just your financial bank account, right? I mean, you make deposits and you make withdrawals. You always want to keep your account in the black. You never want to go negative. Stay out of the red, overdraft protection, all that good stuff. But you want to stay away from those negative numbers. The emotion bank account concept is set up the same way. I don't know who set it up. I'm not sure how old the concept is. It's been around for a while. So I'm not going to take credit for it because I do believe it's flawed. See, the thing is, whenever you do something nice for your partner, that's making a deposit into their emotion bank account. But whenever you do something that really ticks her off, you're making a withdrawal. As the concept goes, you want to make more deposits than withdrawals, and then you stay in good standing and you stay healthy. But where I say it's kind of flawed is that sometimes you can make such a huge withdrawal that no deposit is going to make up for it.
Good.
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
okay.
you the example I used in the article is, this freelancer, he deposits a bunch of money or cashes a check, then goes out and spends all the money from that check, and then the check bounces. It was huge. And so the bank, they didn't just say, pay us back. They closed his account and said, you can never bank with this institution ever again.
Mm.
This is actually a true story. I can't mention the bank, and I certainly can't mention the friend that it happened to, but I saw it happen. I was like, that is just so unfair. But what they're saying is, we don't trust you anymore. It doesn't matter if you put $100,000 in the bank right now. We still don't trust how you manage this account. And we can make the same decision with our hearts. You took I don't care how much you say you're sorry. I don't care how many fancy dinners you take me out to or what you buy me to try to make up for it. But no, that withdrawal broke the bank. So that's why I say the emotion bank account concept doesn't really apply in real life. It's nice to start. We always tell people, try to make your affirmations outnumber your criticisms 2 to 1. Or we're talking about small things like affirmations and criticisms. Hey, honey, you know what? You look really beautiful today. I like how you pulled your hair back into a ponytail. I really like how you look in this white um tank top. Man, you really got this outfit going. But you need to get your nails done. Now, I wouldn't say that, of course, but at least I gave her some things that helped her feel good instead of just rolling in and saying, "Man, your nails look whack."
Right.
No, she'd just be in her feelings about her nails.
And dismiss everything else you just say.
Yep. Yep. Which is quite, just, I think communication is key, right? And I
Mhm.
think, and a lot of what you're sharing is just also skills that, yes, you could take in a relationship, but a lot of times these are the same type of skills and um EQ, rather,
Mhm.
that you can bring to just about any relationship, whether it's a loving or a business, or you name it. So it's quite interesting, how those traits or those perspectives seem to flow no matter where that bank account is, right? So to talk a bit more about that, you were sharing a bit about, let's talk maybe a little bit more about pursuits. When especially maybe even in a single or a couple situation, when do you feel that when is it good to pursue versus maybe to over pursue
Well,
or to sit back and wait as well? Is there any type of, because some people are like, oh yeah, I'm gonna play hard to get and then I'm gonna wait for him or her to pursue. Is that even a good thing to be doing? How do you get past the day and age where sometimes we feel like we're playing this chess match, right? And to me, that's one of the most unfulfilling things in a relationship when you're that early stage and you don't know. It's like, oh, I don't want to come off too strong, and at the same time she might be waiting for that text, and and that now you're in a stalemate. You're in that gray, but maybe the bad gray versus the good gray where you're mixing the things to
Don't look
create
at
what you're
me.
actually looking for. So anyway, I'm sure there's a lot of stories that you can share here, but
oh,
yeah, when is
There is.
pursuit
oh,
good?
there's one major one.
Uh-huh.
One major one, and it was the decision point of this relationship.
Yeah.
Okay, I met her first date. We had a great time. I asked, "Hey, when can I see you again?" She says, "In 2 weeks." I'm like, well, 2 weeks. Anyway, about 2 weeks later was her birthday. So I decided I'm going to get her some flowers. I'm going to get her a nice card. I'm just going to meet up with her. It's our second date, so I can't go overboard, but at least I want to see you and acknowledge your birthday, right? And I asked, hey, I want to make it simple for you, easy for you. So I'm not even asking where you live, just what section of town, so I can choose a place that's convenient for you. She told me some section of town, so I drove all the way out there. We agreed on a time and a place. I get to that place. She says, I'm not over there. I don't live out there.
I live somewhere
I,
else.
I live somewhere else, and I'm at a car dealership that's like 2 minutes from your house. And what? Okay. Stay there. You're getting an oil change. I'm going to break every traffic law that there is to get to you and give you this flower and birthday card. So I get there. She's not around. So I send her a text, give her a call, whatever, and she says, oh, I'm not there anymore. I'm on my way over here.
I was moving. I have an
And
executed type of brain, so I had my stuff planned out. I was planning on doing. He wasn't moving fast enough, clearly.
and so it was at this point that I brought to bear a concept that I've had in coaching singles, and that is man to woman. Man, it is your job to pursue her, but you do not chase her. The difference is if you're chasing her, she doesn't want to be caught. If you're pursuing, she does want to be caught, but she wants to see you work for it. So driving all the way across town, racing back across town again, and me keep missing her, I'm on the verge of deciding I'm chasing her. I'm going to stop. I would have thrown that flower away. It was a nice card too. But she typed back and she says, okay, why don't we meet at this restaurant and grab a snack? It was like,
Close to where
yeah,
we had met. Well, we did the first date, actually.
yeah. And if she had not reached back out to me, I would have declared it a chase instead of a pursuit, and I would have broken off pursuit.
And this probably would not have been a thing.
Not at all.
Not at all.
So that's a really good point because you were able to, I guess, put some parameters around it, and I love the differentiation between pursuing and chasing,
Mhm.
because I think it's important to find out where you're at. Are you chasing her, or are you him, or are you pursuing? And I guess what are some things that you could help a single or a couple that maybe is going through some friction, find that happy medium in terms of, am I chasing right now or am I pursuing? Because a lot of times I feel like you said the male should pursue. That's I think that's good advice. And you hear all these fictional or non-fictional love stories of how that person just pursued or potentially even chased because they were the love of their life, and you'll hear the stories where they're like, yeah, if you didn't chase me or maybe pursue me that hard, I wasn't ready for that, but over time I finally, I thought it was romantic or something. Or again, going back to that chess match, that it's sometimes maybe tough, especially in this day and age. I don't know what the statistics are, but I'm seeing all these things about how hard it is to date nowadays and this and that. So why do you think that is, and how whether you're male or female, how can you put boundaries around whether you're chasing or pursuing? And do you stop once you feel like you're in that chase mode, but maybe they were just waiting for that one more text and maybe they come back after that? It's like, hey, sorry, it took me a while. I don't know. But what are some, differentiators or maybe some awareness tips that someone can really sit back and know, okay, maybe this person's not the right one. Because I feel like I'm putting a bit too much into trying to be with you, talk to you, and I'm not sure if anything is resonating.
So I would say different a little bit as far as he did not come out and say that it was a chase. However, I did in that moment, or even I would suggest even for females in that moment, that I could have communicated better as far as I had a lot going on in that he, that I could have said, okay, I do have a lot going on. I have a lot planned within this day, you know, set a time to where we can meet at this place. But it seemed like he was doing more chasing because I was on a schedule which I don't schedule myself that much because I'm such an extrovert. I can just go at the top of, this drop of a dime. He's not set up like that because we realized that later. But as far as set a time for you to meet up if it's something like what we experience. So it doesn't seem like that a person is chasing and they really are pursuing. We even say this whether it's a person whether it's either single or it's either once you're in your marriage or it's communication. If you communicate well with each other, even in the beginning, it will make life so much better instead of it's never good to assume. Period. Don't assume. He doesn't assume. She doesn't assume. Communicate well with each other so that way you're not assuming in your relationship.
So yeah, there's two things two pieces of advice I put on the table here. First of all, and this goes for any relationship, whether it be professional, friends, whatever the case be, romantic. If you make a suggestion and the answer is just no, without that person providing alternatives, and you do that, you go through that cycle about 2 or 3 times, chances are they just don't want to meet. Hey man, friend, you want to just catch up on Friday and I don't know, go on a prayer walk, catch a movie, whatever? No, I can't on Friday. So what are you doing on Saturday afternoon? Perhaps we just, go, grab some drinks somewhere. No, I'm not. I'm busy on Saturday. And if the answer, all you get back is no, I can't. If someone does want to get together with you, they'll say, yeah, I can't do it on Saturday, but maybe Sunday evening, maybe next weekend. But if all you get back is no, that they don't want to be with you.
Yeah, they do not want that relationship. Yeah, you're right.
And would you say that's great advice? And yeah, I think a lot of people could probably I am looking back at certain scenarios where that could have happened. And it's like, oh, it feels a little weird now. I think this starts turning into more of that chase versus pursue. But then you have the other side where some people might take it the wrong way. They're actually responding, right? And who knows? Maybe they're busy at the time and they're just just saying, "Hey, I'm here," type thing.
Right.
Or they could be sending mixed signals by even responding versus what our generation does now. They'll just ghost you. so so it's like hearing that text message is better than ghosting. However, to your point though, it's like, hey, they're trying to give you some hints nicely that maybe that's not the case. But when do you check? Because like you said, it could be something where they're currently in a meeting or busy at that week and they're just wanting to respond to let you know that, hey, yeah, I'm here. But just to complicate things more, what's your take on a situation like that?
Well, actually, that leads to the second piece of advice. If you get a string of no's without alternatives, put it in their court.
Ah,
Hey, yeah, I get it. You're really tied up right now. I'd really like to see you. I think you're really cool. Why don't you hit me back whenever you have some time freed up, and we can we didn't see each other again. However you want to put it, whatever your voice is, right? And then at that point, you stop waiting for them to call. Because if you're like,
I'm looking at
then 2 minutes later, nope, she didn't text yet. Minute after, no, not yet. Just let it go and move on. She might.
he might.
Yeah, in your case, but we're talking about men pursuing women, right? She might write back and say, yeah, hey, thanks for being so understanding. But yeah, I think you're pretty cool too. I'd like to get together. It might not be for a couple of weeks because I got this project going on. All right, cool. But you know what? I'm still not going to hang out by the phone for those 2 weeks. Just not going to do it. And it's not a matter of pride. I also have to recognize maybe this person is also trying to let me down gently. Right now, it's a lot easier to say, I might be able to give you a call back in 2 weeks, as opposed to just saying no. So if it happens, it happens. You have to understand at this stage of the game, you're not committed and covenant or anything with anybody. You're just trying to find out if there's someone that you should pursue.
I love that advice, so that's how you could tackle that maybe confusion. Oh, they're responding. They're not necessarily bringing much back in the response. But yeah, if you're still, open or at least trying to get a more finalized answer or where we stand, put it back in their court, put it in their court. And I think you'll be able to get the answers off that. They're either going to say, yes, thank you for understanding. This week actually is tight, maybe next week, or you're just going to maybe you might hear the truth that you don't want to hear, which is like, I'm really sorry, but I'm just not in the right space. I don't think it's best. Well, whatever the case may be. But if that person is truly just responding to be nice, at least when you put it back in their court, you might not like what you get, but you're gonna get a better conclusion than leaving it in the gray.
Indeed.
And that's been what was that?
And getting ghosts.
Oh yeah, exactly. Or if they don't even respond, oh yeah, that's an answer in itself, right? Once you put in their court. So at least you have a bit of understanding where we stand by that point, by doing these type of exercise or doing this type of communication with somebody. So that being said, I would love to leave our audience off with engagement question that I'm going to start by maybe asking you all and how our audience should be thinking about this poll question that we're going to have for this episode, which is, do you feel pursued or pressured?
Whoa.
Yeah. So just with that question itself, what comes to your mind talking about pursue and pressured? There's a lot that I can unpack here from personal experiences as well. But as we leave our audience with something to think about, maybe a reason to reach out to you all, either via comments or DMs. And again, at the end of this episode, once we air it, Dr. Rob, Dr. Lynne will personally reach out either in the comments or personally DM you all back to give you your personalized answer based on their expertise. But yeah, we'd love to hear your thoughts on feeling pressured or feeling pursued.
Wow. And if you want, feel free to bring some detail. If
Yeah,
it's detailed,
please.
we'll DM. But yeah, that is a charged question. Very good. All right. A+ on the facilitator for today.
Hey, that's what we're here for. But yeah, with that said, I think again, appreciate you all taking the time. I know this week was tight, so we're maybe we'll even start doing a little bit more of these pre-recorded sessions just to help put some things out there, because I think with the tools that we use today, we're able to really chunk it up and put out bite-sized pieces for people to engage with, get some nuggets. And another reminder, you do have your articles that you post every Tuesday and Thursday on Substack. They're very good articles that break down from a single and couples perspective. We'll have the link when this is posted as well, but you can also find those articles posted on your Facebook, My Relationship Experts, as well as X. So we're also reposting those articles on X as well. So we're actually going to be doing some. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Instagram too, right?
Instagram too. So we're actually going to be doing a bit more with those articles. We're actually working on taking out, just like we're doing with these longer video or audio sessions, we're taking out bite-sized lessons or quotes from those articles, and we're going to start actually reposting those as well too, because there's a lot of good stuff in those articles. And whether you've checked it out yet, but now at least you're going to have a way to at least find a nugget, and maybe if that nugget resonates with you, you can check out the full article on I believe it's Dr. Rob Hollis on Substack. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. And the rhythm we've been trying to keep is couples on Tuesdays and then singles on Thursdays, preparing those singles for the weekend dating scene.
Awesome. Well, thank you all again. It was a pleasure. Thank you all again for taking the time to listen to another episode of Relationship Real Talk with my relationship experts that we have today, again, with Dr. Rob and Dr. Lynne. I hope you all enjoyed this episode, and we look forward to connecting with you all in episode 4.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everyone.